It's because everybody who showed up, I'm going to send you a link to the recording and any other content that's important or relevant to share with you. So water, I got my water right here. So I'm good to go. So let me get started. So again, the most important thing you can do is ask me questions. Just drop questions in the chat as I talk about this topic, which is LinkedIn is a serious business tool. So I can see a few people in here who may know me, but most of you probably don't know me. I've started a business called Burriss Consulting back in 2010. And when we became all about LinkedIn strategy, training, and coaching, helping business professionals, business leaders, sales professionals, sales trainers, professional prospectors on how to use LinkedIn as a business tool. I took a lot of my studies I've had over the years, Sandler sales training, Dale Carnegie professional development, DDI leadership training, certified social media strategist, certified career coach, and Toastmasters, as well as all the other things that I've done in life to help me become better at being a LinkedIn strategist. I've got a couple of books on Amazon. I got about 6 ebooks that are published, 630 YouTube videos, and that keeps growing every day. I had at least a new video every day. 5,000, almost 5,100 Quora answers, all focused to LinkedIn and networking, and specifically LinkedIn as a business tool. So the first thing I want to share with you is, for those of you who don't understand all of the dynamics about LinkedIn, let's make sure we're clear about why is this the most important business tool out there. Why is LinkedIn an important business tool? Because it's the world's largest professional networking site on the globe. And I dare say galactically, is that the right word? Galactically, 720 million LinkedIn members, 2 new members every second, 56 million company pages. So about 40 some million are pretty decently populated and filled out, 111,000 schools. But look at this number, 25% of all LinkedIn members show up at least every other week. Now that sounds low, but let me put it in context. At the end of 2019, before the pandemic, that number was 25% of all LinkedIn members showed up once a month. So basically it's doubled because of the pandemic, and it's holding true today. And the last big reason why LinkedIn is a serious business tool is because LinkedIn profiles are highly indexed by Google. If you go do a Google search right now for LinkedIn trainer, 2 words, LinkedIn trainer, often I show up on the first page, often above the fold. And that's important to me. So if you want to get value out of LinkedIn, you've got to use it as a business tool, and really focus on what your goals are. Your LinkedIn network can be a fantastic portal or conduit through the influencers, through the people you know who know your target audience, to get you into business conversations. Right before I started this webinar, I sent a friend of mine a message. And I said, hey, Eric, I see you know this dude named Derek. And by the way, his name was Dave. And by the way, I use better words than this. I said, hey, Eric, I see you know this dude named Dave. I would like to talk to Dave about his business. Within a few minutes, Eric responded back, hey, Dave, I want to introduce you to my friend, Teddy. This happens all the time when you do it purposely. Ask your network to introduce you to your target audience. If you want to achieve your goals using LinkedIn as a business tool, you've got to have relevant engagement. Relevant is the key word there. And you also can have relevant content that you share on LinkedIn in order for your target audience to discover it. And this is a great way to build your brand. You don't need to create the content. Just by sharing it can help you to build your brand. Using LinkedIn as a business tool, LinkedIn search, even though I think there's a big problem with, from my perspective, a LinkedIn search, it looks like they may be dropping what's called saved search, but it still is fast and really powerful. There's 13 search filters for LinkedIn members. There's 5, which is brand new. There's 5 search filters for companies. So really makes LinkedIn powerful to look at those 720 million people and this 55,000 companies. Then there's Sales Navigator. If you really want to get a powerful tool, then use Sales Navigator. It has 23 search filters for LinkedIn members called leads in Sales Navigator, and 13 search filters for LinkedIn companies called accounts in Sales Navigator. And there's a bunch of other tools of Sales Navigator that really makes it useful. Lists, notes, the ability to message people within LinkedIn that you're not yet connected to. Cold calling for me is dead. I don't cold call anyone. If I want to connect with someone, I'm going to use my network within LinkedIn to get introduced to the people I want to get introduced to. And LinkedIn and Sales Navigator create great value for me to do that. Here, this is really important. Most people don't think about the real KPIs of using LinkedIn. So let's talk about a bunch of them, and the last one will be the most important. First of all, there's a thing called Social Selling Index. If you don't know what your SSI score is, send me a message or drop it in chat, and I'll share with you the URL for you to look at your SSI score, Social Selling Index. LinkedIn uses this really, for the most part, as a marketing tool, try to get you interested in Sales Navigator, but it's accessible to everyone, whether you're using Sales Navigator or not. There's 4 components to your SSI score. You're establishing your professional brand. How well built is your LinkedIn profile? How concise, how clear, how relevant is all the content you have on there? Don't ask me how they figured this out, but it's really pretty interesting. I've seen the numbers move based on my activities. Second number is, are you finding the right people to connect with? Based on who you say you are on your profile, are you connecting with the right people? And again, I see this change, and I can never really get over a 21, because being a career coach, I connect with lots of people who are looking for jobs, as well as I connect with a lot of people in sales, sales development, sales training, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm always going to have that diversity in my network. Third number is engaging with insights. Are you engaging and sharing content relevant to who you say you are? And is your content worthy enough, based on your network's opinion, to be engaged on? Or is your content pretty stale and pretty irrelevant to your network? Then the fourth number in your SSI score is your building relationships. This is how broad and how deep are you connecting. It's one thing to be connected to 1 or 2 people in a company. It's another thing to be connected to 5 people in a company. And it's even more impactful to know 50 people who know those 5 people. So the deeper and the wider your network is all around your target audience, relevant to who you say you are, the better that will work for you and the higher this number becomes. Questions, drop them in the chat and I'll answer them. Here's the next KPI that's worth paying attention to, or set of KPIs. Your dashboard. How many profile views are you getting every 90 days? And then, then that number is important, because the more people who look at your profile, the more people who get to discover who you are. Second number in this dashboard is article views. How many people looked at that last article or that last post you wrote? And the third number is search appearances. How often do you show up in a search list? And by the way, each one of these are hyperlinks. You can drill into these and see generally who are the types of people and what types of companies and what types of roles, looked at your LinkedIn profile. Here's another one. Managing your network. Is your network growing, and who are these people that you're connecting with? If you're connecting with the right people, that's great. If you're connecting with the wrong people, but just simply building a huge network, that's really not going to help you. Now, I have a huge LinkedIn network. I'm not really planning to grow it past 15,000. But that number, not only is it a big number, but it's a lot of work, because every connection I make, I engage with them immediately. And then those who are highly relevant to me, I engage with them more. So grow your network every day, and how is it growing and who is it growing with? Then the next number is followers. Are you building a following? Do you want to build following? For me, I want a following. I want people to see my content. I don't necessarily need to connect with everybody on LinkedIn, but if I can get them to follow me, and if they're relevant to me, maybe one day they'll get into a conversation with me. So these are all important KPIs, but the most important one is, when was the last time you had a business conversation that resulted from a LinkedIn activity? That's the most important metric. Because if you can clearly say, I moved this book of business to put this book of business together because I met this person on LinkedIn, because this person followed my content, et cetera, that's the most important metric. So when you're using LinkedIn, you want to get focused. You want to get focused on what I call your target audience. And as we learned when we went to marketing classes and sales classes throughout the years, everyone is not your target audience. You need to be clear on who they are. Again, the more clear you are on who your target audience is, the better you're going to be as you network on LinkedIn. And you also need to be clear about and when you're talking about your target audience, who's that human in that role? Is how I break it down. Who's the human in the role, in the company or company types, in the industry or industry types, and in the regions or different regions. So when you're working to grow your LinkedIn network, then you want to really be as clear as human in the role, in the company, in the industry, in the region. That really does help you get more focused on the right people. And then additionally, you also want to pay attention to who are their influencers. Who are the people who know the people that I want to meet? Who are the people that know the people and can introduce me to them? And influencers are a huge part of your network. Again, I would not have been able to get an introduction to Dave if Eric had not known him and could introduce me to him. And his message to Dave basically said, you need to talk to Teddy. That's a great influencer messaging. So as you're thinking about your profile, thinking about your network, you need to think about your words. You need to be clear about the keywords and phrases that your target audience uses when they're discussing your services, your products, your widgets, whatever that is. You also need to use these keywords and these phrases throughout your LinkedIn profile, throughout your content, throughout your comments, on your company pages, in your group pages, et cetera, et cetera. When you're clear and consistent about using the words that resonate with your target audience, then they're more likely to pay attention to you. They're more likely to perceive you as someone who's relevant and potentially helpful to them. Again, target audience, keyword messaging. We learned this in marketing and we learned this in sales, but we need to apply this to our use of LinkedIn. So some of the other things I teach in my programs and in my webinar programs and in my one-on-one, my corporate training programs is the power of your professional LinkedIn profile. If you were to I don't know if I said this earlier, but if you were to go do a Google search for LinkedIn trainer, I typically show up on the first page and often in the top 3 or 4 results. It's because of the way I built my profile. It's a professional profile. It's not a freaking resume. I contend your resume is nothing more than your ongoing obituary. You don't need to publish that yet. Let's publish something that's meaningful to our target audience. And when you're building a professional profile, you need to make sure you don't make ridiculous mistakes, Teddy. And to use words like manger instead of manager or public relations instead of public relations. Do a LinkedIn search on that and see what you come up with. I do it every year. I used to do a manger report. Now I'm gonna start doing a public relations report. Understanding that your LinkedIn profile is critical and understanding the content you share on it is critical, and then it all must be relevant, helps you to build the best possible presence. speaking clearly, first person to your target audience. Again, professional brochure, not resume. And there's a lot of areas of your LinkedIn profile that you need to figure out how to use so that you get the greatest value from it. Minimizing your distractions so that your target audience your target audience is not distracted by putting on there your previous jobs that are totally irrelevant to what you do today. Show the viewer who you are as a human. Get them to see a little bit about you. I call it peel back the layers a little bit, get a little vulnerable, but always staying professional. And figure out what are all the different sections you can use and how can you use them? How can you use publications? There's like 8 different sections under accomplishments that you could use, publications being one of them. A profile picture is critical because most people will walk away from a LinkedIn profile that does not have a profile picture. And by the way, that profile picture needs to be displayable to not only your first level, but to all LinkedIn members and publicly. And check your LinkedIn contact information. Guarantee you, there's maybe not you, but many people fail. 2 hours ago or earlier, I was doing a coaching session with someone that their contact information was all about their old company. And tell your target audience what you do for them instead of pitching your stuff. This is the conversations, this is the coaching that I do in my webinar programs, my one-on-one coaching, and my corporate training programs. Any questions, drop them in the chat box and I'll help you with them. Years ago, I made this realization that my network is my most important asset in life. This includes my LinkedIn network. Think about this for a minute. I mean, my network includes everybody in my life. It includes my friends, my family, my peers, my clients, my prospects, my students, the people I volunteer for. It also includes my insurance agent, my mortgage broker. It includes my banker. It includes the guy I buy my cars from, the guy who fixes my cars, the guy who introduced me to my wife, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So most of what we achieve in our lives, most of the things that we acquire in our lives, in some way or another comes from our network. So what should we do with our network? We should grow it purposely, and we should focus on who we're growing it with so that we're growing it with the best people. And this applies to LinkedIn as well. Grow your LinkedIn network in deliberate ways, focused on your target audience, focused on your influencers. There's lots of ways of doing that that give you the greatest value using LinkedIn. You also need to be willing to connect with people you can help. It's not just about connecting with people that can buy your widget or hire you, but it's called networking for mutual benefit. You should be willing to connect with people that you can help, because you never know, you might be able to help them today and they might be able to help you tomorrow. Purposeful networking creates the best value. It's the style I use. I network all the time. For me, purposeful networking allows me to do 2 things. Number one, it allows me to network in a very deliberate way, focused on my target audience. But it also allows me the opportunity to every now and then network with people who are in the region. Earlier today, I showed up on a networking event. There were 72 people on it. Probably only 2 or 3 had an interest or had the ability to hire me, but 70 of those people could introduce me to people. So purposeful networking is, I'm doing networking for this reason: to meet new people or to hang out and have conversations with my target audience. And you want to find the people you want to connect with and then look for ways to get introduced to them. Again, my story about Eric and Dave, that I sent out 5 introduction requests. I teach people how to do these introduction requests so that I can get introduced to the people that I want to talk with and ultimately connect with. Another tactic I teach is bumping into your target audience. You don't need to get introduced to them. That's the best way to do it. But if you can't get introduced to them, maybe you can bump into their content and engage on their content in meaningful ways to create an opportunity to drive them into a conversation. And as you're connecting on LinkedIn, it's important that you engage immediately. Don't just connect and collect business cards. Engage, get into conversations. Different ways of getting into conversations, different levels of conversations based on that person's relevance to your business goals or your career goals. And this is kind of some more of the stuff that I teach in my webinar programs. Don't build a pile of business cards. And remember, people don't care what you know until they know you care. So make that apparent. Show people you care as you're connecting. Make the conversation all about them. Most LinkedIn members don't invest enough time in social engagement. You ever been to a networking event and seen that person walking around carrying a box of business cards, and when the box is empty, they leave? Have you ever been to a networking event where that person walks up to you and slides a brochure into your hand from behind you? I have. You don't want to be like these people. You want to look for ways to get into good conversations with your target audiences and your influencers, but you want to make these conversations all about them until they give you permission to make it about you. This is important, and we need to do this on LinkedIn as well. Show your network you're a human being by having real human conversations. Human engagement, human to human engagement. A meaningful comment is a minimum of 6 words, not thanks for sharing this. Sharing content that's relevant to your target audience in ways that builds a relevant brand, not barfing out your corporate content with reckless abandon, hoping and praying someone's going to find it and get excited about it, because that's not going to happen. You also want to adopt some other philosophies I teach in my programs. Never do, say, or engage in any way that you don't want to be seen, heard, or perceived of in life. That's critical. That's saved me many a time. Also made me hit the backspace key many times, hit the escape key many times. Also, never touch any content that you think could diminish your brand. If you see a conversation going on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, wherever, that's totally irrelevant to you and totally irrelevant to your style, your real life or whatever, don't touch it. You are not obligated to post and comment and tell somebody this is ridiculous. Now, you can send them a private message and tell them that if you know the person, but never touch it. And likewise, minimize the use of the canned responses. They don't help you show the others that you're a human. So a couple months ago, I did some research and I discovered, I think I had 100 people in this poll, that around 50% of the LinkedIn members said after they visit your LinkedIn profile, they want to then go visit your LinkedIn company page. So I share this because, I get a lot of entrepreneurs and solopreneurs on these calls. And I want to have you think for yourself or ask yourself these questions. What does your LinkedIn profile say about you? What does your LinkedIn page, I call it a company page, say about you? What does it say to your target audience? That's critical. So I want to go into LinkedIn and I want to answer questions. So at this point, I'm going to transition into LinkedIn Live and bring my LinkedIn profile up and answer your questions. But before I go, I want to let you know that I have a special offer. And it's 2 webinar group sessions. Kicks off the 4th Wednesday of every month. Each one's an hour long. And in these 2 webinar sessions, we'll get very deliberate about helping you discover who's your target audience, who's the influencers. What are the words you should use on your profile? Give you insights on building a LinkedIn profile, building your LinkedIn profile, bringing your profile up on the screen and talking about it, looking at your actions on networking and talking about it. We'll help you experiment and practice social conversations and social sharing. We'll show you how to do social listening on LinkedIn and Sales Navigator. I'll record them. Got 4 ebooks to support it. This is for everyone who signs up for this webinar series. And everyone who signs up gets a free one-on-one bonus coaching session, individual session scheduled with you on your schedule. It's called Master LinkedIn as a Business Tool. Again, it's 3 sessions, 2 of them are group, 1 of them is private. And I'll share the link with you in the comments or in my messaging afterwards. And you get 33% off. It's about typically around $400 and a third off. It gets it down just under $300. So I want people to consider this idea, because the goal of this program is to help you get more value out of your use of LinkedIn. So at this point, I'll drop into LinkedIn and answer any questions you have. So please use the chat and ask me any questions. I'll bring the chat over here so I can see it, so I can help you with any questions you have. Questions, how many connections can I make on LinkedIn? You can make upwards of, you can make to 30,000. 30,000 is the number of connections that you can make. However, I'm going to share with you, don't do that. You don't need 30,000 connections. That's too many. I really want you to be purposeful about your networking on LinkedIn. 14,000 is a big number for me, even though this is my sandbox. So be very deliberate about who you connect with. What is your view on hashtags? So it's a great question. I think LinkedIn is trying hard with the hashtag world. Hashtag leadership. There's some hashtags out there. Hashtags career, Friday, business. And LinkedIn really is struggling to get this to really take off. It's useful. The best way to use hashtags is to be purposeful. See, PSA, hashtag PSA is a hashtag I use all the time. And I don't, there, boom, there's one right there 5 days ago. My PSA stands for pay serious attention. I use this often on my content. I want to say I own this hashtag, but I don't. But own it means I use it all the time in very deliberate ways. I don't use it on every post, but I use it. I'm trying to see if I can find another one of my posts. I haven't done many PSAs lately, but whenever I find something new and interesting, discover a problem or some idea about LinkedIn, then I do a pay serious attention post. And go figure, a lot of people are using PSA. I can't find another one of mine, but mine stands for pay serious attention. Here's the tips. Don't use more than 6. Be very deliberate about them. LinkedIn does not like hashtag stuffing. So don't, 6 is the most you should use. It used to be, they said 3, but now LinkedIn's come out and said that 6 is a better number. And it's great if you're showing up on the hashtags that are relevant to you. So, Sales Navigator is I'm all about Sales Navigator, but it's only 872 people following it. So, I'm not going to get overly excited about creating a hashtag for 872 people, but maybe I should, Teddy. So let's see. Another one is, what does Sales Navigator look like? How useful is it? Well, here's what it looks like. So it's a totally different interface. It's looking at the same data. The big differences with Sales Navigator is that your news feed is called an alert. And so everyone that you save as a lead, every account that you save as an account, you can see the focus vision. You can see right here that it's saved, so I can unsave it. So in Michael Minor is a saved account. A saved lead. But because I've saved this lead and I've saved this account, they show up in my Sales Navigator newsfeed or alerts. So that's the big difference between LinkedIn and Sales Navigator newsfeed. All of these people I'm following very purposely because I've saved them as a lead or as an account. Additionally, You have your list. So you can create lists of companies that you're working on or companies that you're doing account-based marketing to. You can also have leads. These are individuals that I'm paying attention to. And, you know, I've started some conversations with, trying to see where I can take them to. And the other big thing is the search filters. So on leads, I have 23 filters. Leads are, again, LinkedIn members. On accounts, I have 13 filters. Some of these filters are pretty decent. Relationship, size of the company, growth of the company, industry, geography, keywords. So I like the search features in Sales Navigator. Additionally, if I bring up an account, let me bring up Burriss Consulting, the company. I have the ability to write a note. I have the ability to see an account map. I have the ability to see who works there, to see all their recent activity. Let me go to an individual. Let me go to Teddy Burriss. That would be me, for those who don't know that. Also under, oh, look, I can't send myself a note. So let's bring up my wife. These public webinars, I'm not allowed to bring up just anybody. So I can have a note. I can find someone to introduce me to them. We share 31 connections. I can see Rebecca's last activity. I can see other recommended leads. I can see her experience. So this is a different interface for looking at a LinkedIn member, but called a lead at this point. I can save her. When I save her, I can put her in a list. I can also view her on LinkedIn, copy her LinkedIn profile, add a note, and I can message her. You get upwards of, you know, depends on the number of how big your account is with Sales Navigator. I think I get 25 in-mails a month. So anyway, it's really useful if you're serious about prospecting. Here's another question. After writing a post, do you alert people? What is the next step about a post? That's a good question. It's a real good question. So I rely on mostly organic. So when I share something, you can go look and see my posts. When I share content, here's posts. I can also share articles. I've written an article this past May 8th, and I can share documents. These are PDFs or Word documents or PowerPoint documents, but here's a post. So when I share a post, you know, I tagged a bunch of people who were in this event. Okay. And so by tagging people who were at this event, that helped me drive eyeballs to that post. I also, if someone engages on my content, got 31 comments on this. If someone engages on my content, then I try to engage back with them where relevant and appropriate. But I don't necessarily alert people to my posts. Again, back to the news feed, whenever someone posts something, like Deborah posted that event as well, whenever anybody posts something, if you're first level or the person who engages first level, often, not always, but often it's going to show up in your news feed. So you don't necessarily have to alert people that you did a post. However, what you could do, let's say you wrote a really compelling post and you want people to see it, then what I could do is send it as a message to someone and go, hey, take a look at this. I'd love to see hear your perspectives on this. So those ways of letting people know, again, mentioning people is one way. And here's the other big thing in my classes. When I teach LinkedIn as a business tool, I have a set of philosophies about the type of content you should be sharing. And that's really important because most people share the wrong stuff. If you're sharing the right stuff, then you don't have to worry so much about it's not being seen. So great question, though. Any other questions I can answer for you? Anybody else have any question? So I manage, I said, where do you manage your network? I manage my network right here. So you can see right here, here's my network. I do not manage it from this page. I manage my LinkedIn network from this page, CLE. And the reason I do that is, look, there's no way to engage with these folks. But if I go to see all 8, I can send them all a message. There's a little hiccup there, and I teach how to resolve that hiccup in my classes. But at the very least, I have the ability to message everybody who sends me an invite, whether they sent me a message or not. So that's why I manage it, again, from my network, see all. I got a few more minutes for some more questions. So how long is your headline? So my headline's big. My LinkedIn headline is 200, I think it's 219 characters. You can have 220 characters in your headline. Okay. So if you're going to use that many characters, you need to be very purposeful about what you put in there. And in my programs, I can show you how to figure out what to put in there. How do you use your about section? So my about section is 26. Everybody gets 2,600 characters in your about section. Again, you need to be very purposeful about what you put in there. And you need to make sure these first 3 lines are written in a very deliberate way that can get you the greatest opportunity for someone to click on see more. If you don't write these right, then they're not going to look at the rest of this. And I know when my profile, my entire about section gets read, because often someone will comment and ask me about being a banana farmer. It's the only reason that's down there. It's almost 1:45. Any other questions that I can answer for you? So with that done, I just appreciate you showing up today. Thank you for giving me time. Thank you for letting me share with you. My purpose was to get you to think along the lines of using LinkedIn as a business tool seriously. And if you want more help, I'm all about helping you to achieve that. I'll send you a link to this special offer for the this coming May webinar, where it kicks off on the 4th week of the month. And if you have any other questions, feel free to message me on LinkedIn or find me on YouTube or Quora. I'm always happy to help where I can. So again, thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it. And for those who've never met me, again, I'm Teddy. I'm a LinkedIn strategist, trainer, and coach. And I hope that was helpful. Have a great day. Bye.